We left for a simple family camping trip. 10 minutes later, my son and I returned to an empty campsite. No tents, no people, no food. Just a note in my wife's handwriting. This is for the best. Trust me. Alone in the wilderness. Survival was just the first chapter of the nightmare. The forest was quiet, almost unnaturally so, as if the world itself had paused to watch us. My son and I had ventured only a short distance from our campsite, a simple 10-minute walk down the familiar trail, nothing more. The smell of pine and damp earth filled my lungs, the chirping of birds punctuating the calm. I held my 10-year-old son's hand firmly, letting him explore the trail, pointing out mushrooms and scuttling insects, trying to make it feel like an adventure. When we returned, everything had changed. The cheerful hum of voices, the crackling of the campfire, the scattered tents. It was all gone. Even the cars were gone. Nothing remained but a flimsy folding table, bare except for a single sheet of paper weighed down by a rock. My son's small fingers trembled as he picked it up. This is for the best. Trust me, he read aloud, voice cracking. I froze. Her handwriting. My wife's. Panic rose in my chest, curling like a living thing. My mind spun, searching for rational explanations. Maybe they'd gone for help. Maybe it was some kind of prank. But the sinking realization clawed at me like claws in my ribs. They hadn't gotten lost. They hadn't gone for help. They had left us. Dad, are we going to die out here? His wide, terrified eyes met mine. I forced a calm I did not feel, placing my hand on his shoulder. No, son, we're going to survive. And when we get out of here, they'll regret leaving us. The first night was a test of willpower. The chill cut through our thin jackets, and the darkness seemed to stretch endlessly. I built a crude lean-to with branches and leaves, teaching him to collect rainwater in a hollowed log, showing him which berries were safe and how to set basic snares. As coyotes howled in the distance, I held him close and whispered stories of how his grandfather had taught me the same survival skills when I was his age. Those stories were lifelines, steadying both of us against fear and hunger. Days passed, each one a battle against nature and our exhaustion. By the fourth day, hunger gnawed sharply. My son's lips were cracked, his small body trembling with fatigue. Are we going to die, Dad? He asked again, desperation in his voice. I looked into those eyes, so much like my own, and forced a smile. No, we're not going to die. We're going to show them who we are. Survival was no longer enough. It had become about justice. Every step, every berry eaten, every cold night endured was a testament to our resilience. By the sixth day, we found a stream. It's clear. Flowing water revived us both, and I thanked whatever forces had guided us. We fashioned crude walking sticks and followed the stream downhill, navigating rugged terrain with growing confidence. On the 10th day, salvation appeared. A dirt road and the bright, flashing lights of a park ranger's truck. Relief and disbelief collided as a ranger jumped out, eyes wide. My God, people have been searching for you for over a week. So we wandered off. I replied quietly, exchanging a glance with my son, his jaw clenched in anger. She lied, he whispered. I nodded. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was the beginning of a reckoning. Returning to town, we were hailed as miracles, a father and son who had defied death. Cameras clicked, reporters shouted, and strangers stared. But inside, I was already calculating the next move. At the police station, the story my wife and her friends told unraveled quickly. We tried to find them, they claimed, eyes wide with feigned innocence. But records told another story. No search efforts beyond day one, no calls, no missing person flyers. Their web of lies had holes too large to ignore. That night, my daughter ran into my arms, crying. Dad, I knew she was lying. She told everyone you ran away, but I didn't believe her. My son, still thin and bruised, whispered, she left us to die. I'll never forgive her. It was then that I understood the depth of our mission. This wasn't revenge for me alone. It was for them too. The next morning, we began methodically gathering evidence. The note, testimony from the ranger, medical reports of my son's dehydration, bank records showing lavish trips and dinners while we were missing. All of it. We built a case so unassailable that when it went public, there would be no escape. And then the storm broke. The investigation was swift and relentless. Bank statements, social media posts, and eyewitness accounts painted a damning picture. My wife and her friends had left us to die intentionally, their pretense of concern nothing more than a calculated deception. The note she had left, her handwriting betraying her intent, sealed their fate. The courtroom became the arena of justice. My son, small but determined, stood and spoke with trembling authority. She left us to die. I don't want to live with her ever again. Gasps filled the room, but no one comforted her. Her friends avoided her gaze, and the truth carved its mark into their faces. The sentences were merciless: reckless endangerment, attempted manslaughter. No suspended terms, no leniency. Their lives unraveled in public. Social media vilified them. Employers distanced themselves, and families shunned them. The very people who had once laughed and driven away from our campsite were now reduced to husks of their former selves. Months later, I spoke at a wilderness survival fundraiser. Sharing our story, I saw admiration in the faces around me. We had turned tragedy into triumph. My son, once small and fragile, had emerged resilient, bonded to me in ways only suffering could forge. "Dad, remember the note?" he whispered one evening. "This is for the best." I nodded. In that moment, I realized she had been right in one way. It had truly been for the best, but not for her, for leaving us behind. She had buried only herself. My son and I had walked out of the forest not just alive, but unstoppable, unbroken, and united. Years passed. My wife never adapted to prison life. Her friends turned on each other in desperation, seeking leniency that would never come. Meanwhile, my son grew into a man of strength, integrity, and courage, carrying the scars of those 10 days as badges of honor. Together, we became living proof of endurance, teaching others how to survive, to fight, to reclaim their lives after betrayal. And though the note still lingered in memory, it was no longer a threat. It was a testament. They had tried to erase us, but in the end, we had written the final chapter. They had left us to die, and instead, they had sealed their fate. The forest had been our crucible. We emerged stronger, unbroken, and unstoppable. And the shadow of betrayal, once a weapon against us, had become the very force that forged our legacy.